it is official. Well, actually, I don't know if it's official, but the student loan cancellation plan, it's apparently really going down.
Yeah.
They're really doing it.
I think everyone's getting a free coupon for a personal pan pizza, one topping, and they're actually going to make the free Slurpee day a couple days.
A week. Yeah, I heard that too. I heard that too. Yeah.
My campaign for president, I made a commitment. That would provide student debt relief. And I'm honoring that commitment today. Using the authority Congress granted the Department of Education, we will forgive $10,000 in outstanding federal student loans.
Yeah, so like apparently it's I don't know all the ins and outs. I just know kind of the ins and outs. Like it's $10,000, or that's like the cap, so up to $10,000. So if you have less than that, they just pay it off, and then they'll do $10,000 in forgiveness towards anyone making $125,000 or less, or a household that's making $250,000 or less.
Jesus.
So if you're married and you make $180,000 and your spouse is making $70,000,
Yeah.
you're still getting those loans forgiven, baby.
In my mind, those people don't have loans anymore. For student loans.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
don't
like that's
know.
a lot of money, right?
It is a lot.
$250,000 a year.
It is a lot of money, but also so is student loan debt.
Yeah, true.
Like, I don't know everyone's situation. Like, I'd be curious to see, like, probe into, like, our personal friends and be like, yo, like, Marissa, Dan, Mehedi, like, what's your loan situation looking like? Like, you guys paying that off? Is it hindering you? Like, Mehedi just bought a fucking house. It can't be hurting him that bad. And, like, you know, so Dan, Marissa. So, I mean, I would venture to say that all of them are probably doing a little bit, you know, they're at least doing all right.
Yeah,
you know, so it's like, and I don't think they're making that type. I don't think they're making $250,000 in the household. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna go and say no, because I don't think they'd be hanging out with us.
Yeah, they have cooler friends.
Yeah, like we keep a very tight circle of income in our friend group. But yeah, it's like, I mean, I guess a lot of people are obviously a lot of people are happy about it. It's no fucking mystery what my stance is on it. I've never been a big fan of the idea, although I have, you know, loosened up a little bit as I've gotten older about it. I think a lot of my initial just gut hatred of the idea was based in like this personal vendetta I had against all the stigma, or as Dave Mustaine would say, the stigmatism of you know, not going to college and being told that I was an idiot and I was making a stupid decision. And, you know, I'm sure on some level you encountered the same thing.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And it's like, so like on that level, there was this kind of like vendetta personally that I felt like, oh, now all of a sudden after fucking trashing me and my life choices for the past decade, now all of a sudden everyone wants to come and be like, actually, it's not really like working out, and I was kind of wondering if like maybe like you could help me out, like it's like, oh, you mean the same person who would sit there when we were like in our early 20s and be like, yeah, good luck, dude, you're gonna fucking drop out of college, like what are you gonna pursue, music? What are you gonna pursue, comedy? Like that stuff, like get a degree, dude, you're not gonna be making, like I'm gonna be making good money with my degree, like I can't, like you can't get a good job and like have a good living without it. And then it's like, so they're basically like looking at you and laughing in your fucking face at the idea that they are going to be making more money than you. And then 10 years in the future going, oh, wait, dude, like the meme I fucking posted on the account, like, oh, wait, dude, like turns out I'm actually not making more money than you. Like I thought I was going to. So like, would you mind like bailing me out? And it's like, how about no?
How about no?
And I know that that's not a great argument against it, because I consider myself one of the lucky ones to have not fallen in the trap, and I can kind of like rest on that. What I don't appreciate is that, look, obviously, especially in current times, everyone is feeling it. Everyone's feeling the financial struggle. Everyone's feeling the inflation. Like it's unavoidable. It's undeniable at this point. It's massively affecting people. And it's like, why I've never understood the idea of taking like I was thinking about this today. Which group of people would you be willing to say are struggling more financially? Would you say that the group of college graduates or non-college graduates? Like, which demographic of people is having a harder time in 2022 America? Just generally.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like, both sides are struggling. But I think maybe like new college graduates may be struggling a little bit more just
Perhaps.
because they're being thrown into now this fucked up economic situation where they thought they were going to have a job right out of college. Now they're just sitting looking at wanted ads and fucking whatever else.
Yeah.
Contemplating like, should I go back to working at Starbucks? I think my old manager is still there. Should I go? Like, what the, like,
Yeah. Well, it's like obviously we wouldn't even be having this conversation if there wasn't a large portion of people who have graduated college and are completely hindered by their student debt. But I would still be willing to make the statement that as a general rule, people who don't have college degrees, which includes like a lot of like way more people, like just your average person living in like, let's say like if you're in the inner city or like some trailer park or in some like bumfuck area, like if you were to like take every person in this country who doesn't have student loan debt but is still struggling heavily financially for one reason or another, I would be willing to venture to say that demographic of people, which is also a much larger demographic of people, is having a harder time in 2022 America than college graduates. Not saying that certain college graduates aren't also struggling, which is kind of what bugs me about the whole idea of just singling out one group of people and saying, hey, as I've said before and we've talked about before, but like, it bears repeating, like what about your life decision of doing this thing, going to college, taking out basically any amount of money and not even thinking twice about it, just like, just completely buying into this and like just going like, this is the investment I'm making in myself and I'm going to do it. What about that makes you, and if it doesn't work out, why does that make you more eligible for some type of forgiveness or relief than any other person in America who took risks and maybe to start a business or maybe to like, like whatever, buy equipment for like a job or anything like that, anything that it could be. Like there's so many people that have made investments, which is what college is. It's an investment that it annoys me that we just look at this one thing and go, oh, well, college, that's okay. Well, you fucked up. Here's money. And then the beautiful part is it's like that guy who didn't go to college is also going to help pay for that. And people always say like, they always say this thing where it's like, no, dude, like it's going to get paid for by like the rich people and blah, blah, blah. It's like perhaps more. Yes. But the problem is like in this day and age, it's the best time to talk about inflation because it's right in front of our face. And more so than taxes, inflation is what fucking gets people. Like people always used to say, and I always hear people say this, like when I watch like my fucking YouTube videos and shit, they're like, inflation is a tax. And it's just one of those things you would hear people say and be like, oh, okay, I guess I don't quite know what you mean by that, but okay, sure. But as you see it in real time, you realize that it's like, okay, I did some math the other day. Ooh. I was looking at the inflation rate because I was actually motivated because I was trying to think of like, I was starting to notice in my own personal life and I'm making more money than I ever have, but I'm in the same financial position I've always been in. So I see more money coming in, but I don't feel like I'm in any better position to like buy a house or do anything like that. And I'm sitting there going like, well, I'm living the same lifestyle I always have. But like, when I was working at Seasons, when I was working at Cheesecake Factory or Melting Pot, like I was able to like put a certain amount of money away and have like enough money for like a down payment on a new car. Mm-hmm. And now I'm looking at it, it's like, and also a lot of that could be because of the money I've spent at the studio and stuff. But still, it's like, I'm noticing that like basically all the extra money I'm bringing in is just keeping me treading water. And so I started thinking like, well, I should take a look at my gig prices. So I pulled up like, what have the inflation rates been? Like, I'm not even gonna bother looking it up, but like, what have the inflation rates looked like since I started doing music in 2017? And I was looking at it. It's like usually, generally, they try to keep inflation to about 2% every year. Now, what people sometimes forget is that's a compounding thing. So it's not like, so if inflation is at here one year and then it goes up 2%, now it's at that plus 2%. And then if it goes up another 2%, it's not just the same amount, it's 2% of that amount. So it's a compounding thing. So like I was doing the math and I'm doing the compounding thing like, okay. And I found that like, okay, so if I'm making like a $200 gig now, inflation has gone up 25% since 2017, roughly 25%, which means that $200 now is what $150 was back then. So if I'm noticing that like, oh, now my gigs, instead of doing 150 gigs, I'm doing 2 and 250, I'm making the same money. And that's when it really hit me, which is like when they talk about inflation being a tax, it's like just in the past 2 years, since 2020, it went up between 2020 and 2021, it went up 4.7%. And then just this year, as we noticed when we fucking went to CVP the other night, and on the tab, there was this random 9.1% charge that when Dan sent me the tab to like Venmo him, and I was like, what's this 9.1%? And it said CPI. And so I looked it up and I was like, And I Googled it and it was Consumer Price Index. And lo and behold, the inflation rate is 9.1% since last year. So basically what CVP did was they just put out the check and then they charged an extra 9.1% on top of everything for inflation. So that was when I was noticing. So like between 4.7% last year and 9.1%, this 14% increase. That means, to put it an example, if you were making $100,000 in 2020 and the value of money has gone down, the value of your money has gone down 14%. That means that if you're still making that same $100,000 a year in 2022, you have the purchasing power of $86,000, which means unless you've gotten a 14% raise in the past 2 years, you are making less money.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't think about it because they see the same amount of money getting put into their bank account. So it's more of like a covert type of tax, because what happens is the government makes these fucking spending plans and they go, okay, we're going to do this. We're not going to raise taxes, but we are going to create $300 billion out of nothing and inject it into the economy that is now going to affect the money that you have, because any money you have is just a fraction of the entire value of the fucking economy. So like if there's only $200 in the economy and you have $2, you have 1% of the purchasing power. If another $200 just gets injected in the economy out of nowhere, now you only have $2 out of $400. Your purchasing power has been cut in half. So they could, if people came out and said, "Hey, we're going to pay for all this shit we're doing by putting a 14% tax on all the money you make, in addition to all the taxes that we already pay," people would have been like, "Fuck that." You mean if I'm making $100,000 a year, I have to pay taxes on that plus another $14,000 fucking dollars to pay for all this shit? They would never go for it. But if they inflate the economy to the point where now they just create the money out of thin air, flood the market with all this money, and now your $100,000 is only worth the equivalent of $86,000, and you don't notice it. I mean, but it takes way longer to notice. You know what I'm saying? So it's like everyone's already feeling that because of what's gone down in the past couple of years. And it's like, it's just crazy to me that like, this is the moment that we're going to do something like this. And it's not even that I don't want this. It's not even like, now that I'm 30, I take a more mature tact with this. I no longer resent people that chose to go to college. I no longer resent the people that made fun of me and you and Scott and people who didn't. I don't have that resentment anymore. I'm happy with where I am. I'm sure you guys are happy with you guys. It's not even about that anymore. It's about this idea that now we keep on taking this tact where the accepted truth is that at all costs, we have to make sure that college is accessible because it's this highly necessary thing that people need to have access to. And it always amounts to the government coming in and going, okay, well, we're going to give you the money paid for by regular people. whether in the form of higher taxes or inflation, one or the other, pick your poison. It's going to have the same fucking effect. And we're going to come in and in the goal of making sure that everyone still goes, what happens when, okay, so now I don't know how this exactly works, but just thought experiment here. Assuming that anyone who has any student loan debt is getting that paid off up to $10,000. Does that now apply to future people who go to college next year? Like now when you take out a student loan, is $10,000 of that already covered?
Probably not.
So
and also, like people are still gonna have to apply for this, and like it's not just like an automatic given to everyone, kind of like the stimulus is.
Well, I mean, all they have to do is prove that they don't make $125,000, and that's kind of the issue. It's like, like it's not like a stimulus. So only a small portion of the population is getting this fucking this payment. And then it doesn't even, and I know this is considered like a conservative talking point, and I know it is, but like it does bear witness. I mean, I just thought about it today. I was like, oh damn, I did go to 1 year of college, and I did have student loans that I was paying off. Now I'm pretty sure I paid like those off. I think I might have like 2 student loan payments left for like $50. Like I'm pretty sure I'm paid off, which is still insane. The fact that I've been paying $50 a month for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know what it is. I probably have paid it off, but regardless, it's like even I, who don't even have a degree, am in a position where it's like, well, I had to pay that shit off, and it's like, if we're gonna do something like that, would it not be? Is it unfair to not say to a person who did pay off their student loans that like, hey, sorry about your luck, dude, but like, because you actually made proper decisions, and you might not even be making 120, like this guy who's making $124,000 a year, who has $50,000 in student loan debt still, we'll give him the $10,000. You paid off your student loan debt. You might be making $45,000 as a teacher. You're not getting any fucking help. You might not have a house or a good car or any of the things that you would have wanted to do, any vacations or anything like that, because you budgeted all your money towards paying the student loans. Sorry, you fucked up. You should have done what this guy did, which is fucking not do it. And then boom. It's like, it does strike me as unfair, and I'm not opposed to helping people out. I am opposed to this kind of like moral thing where, because the bigger overarching thing here is this bailout is an admission and should be point base fact proof that college is not what they say it is. Because if college was what they say it is, we wouldn't have this fucking problem. So you can't in the same sentence
Or
go,
just admit that they fucked up by giving the loan companies too much power and giving them too much legroom to literally just boost up their costs. Like, I feel like what happened was the loan companies got in touch with the fucking college deans, who got in touch with whoever else, and we're like, we're getting new clients every year, basically. We're getting new money coming in every year via enrollment, whatever, tuition, classes, dorm rooms, whatever. Like, we can keep making the same amount of money, but since we're in this like closed loop of just money transferring hands willy-nilly, well, we just keep bumping it up and bumping it up and bumping it up. And I think that was the real problem, where tuition for like an in-state college, 30 years ago would have been like $1,000 a class. And that's when, our parents went to college or didn't go to college or whatever. But like, that's when they would have been like, why don't you go to college? Like, it's, it's an investment in yourself. But now it's more like, oh, you don't want to go to college and basically, be in debt an entire house.
I think that what you're saying is correct, but I would flip 2 things, because this is the common thread, the common denominator that I've noticed in all these bubbles that we see. And the 3 big ones for me would be housing, healthcare, and higher education. If you look at what led to the bubble bursting in housing, what preceded that was this idea, this kind of initiative, this government initiative to be like, hey, like, like housing is a human right. Like, we need to make mortgages more accessible to people. Like, and so what happens is, like, no bank is going to take out a mortgage, like a private bank, on somebody that they don't think is going to pay back the loan, because that's how they make their money. They have to get paid back plus interest. That's what banks do. So no private bank is going to do that. It's not in their own self-interest. So, but the government gets involved and they say, we're going to make this money more accessible to people who might not be able to qualify for private loans. So then they flood the market with these, like, just like, you know, I remember this, and I've talked about this before. Like, my mom is a mortgage underwriter, and I remember her when she got laid off back in 07, 08, because the fucking bubble burst and like she was out of job, and like she was talk about that, like, and they talk about it in that movie, The Big Short, the ninja loans, no income, no job loans.
So do applicants ever get rejected?
Seriously? Look, if they get rejected, I suck at my job.
Well, even if they have no money?
Well, my firm offers ninja loans. No income, no job. You know, I just leave the income section blank if I want. Corporate doesn't care. These people just want homes, you know, and they go with the flow.
Good for you.
Your companies don't verify.
If I write a loan on Friday afternoon, big bank is gonna buy it by Monday lunch.
Yeah, same here.
I remember her saying that she wasn't even allowed to ask how much people were making. Like, it wasn't even, you weren't even allowed to discriminate based off of like, do you have a job? Like, you're taking out this mortgage for $200,000. Do you have a job? Nope. What happens is the government gets involved and it benefits. And the reason why the government gets involved, just like with the colleges. So it's like with the colleges, we have this initiative where higher education, you know, we need to make these loans more accessible, where like no private bank, if you came, like, the difference between college when our parents are growing up and college now is because, and it's easy to understand why our generation got so fucked, because our parents grew up in a generation where it really did mean something to go to college. Going to college was like when you see a kid who plays like football and he goes to play football in college. Like, the people that were standouts, the people that were good enough to go to the next level, went to go play basketball or football or go study physics or something like that. And the average person who was just like your regular kid in high school graduated high school and went out into the fucking workforce. So college was for people that were standouts in academics. Then it became this initiative where it was like, well, so they have this like reverse thing where they're like, oh, well, these people that are going to college are so much more successful than people who aren't. So maybe if we make everyone go to college, everyone will be successful. It's like, no, the reason why the people that went to college and were successful is because they were already the people that were fucking successful in high school, and then they went to college and became more successful. You can't, it's like the same argument when they say like, kids that go to preschool wind up, you know, having better jobs, less likely to commit crime, you know, less likely to, it's like, is that because when they were 4, they sat and played blocks in a room? Or could it possibly
they had
be
celery sticks?
Yeah. Or could it possibly maybe be because, as a general rule, parents who go through the process of enrolling their kids in preschool might generally be more involved in their kids' life and their education, and that would then foster a kid who is generally going to be more successful, you know, in general. And I say this as a person who didn't go to preschool. So like,
Still holding that grudge.
you know, I'm still holding that grudge. Preschool forgiveness, fuck it. No, what I'm saying is like, we have this idea where we keep pushing college at all costs. And so kids, as the government makes money more available to people, because if you went to M&T Bank, a private bank, and said, hey dude, I got this idea, check it out. I'm gonna go to a liberal arts school. I'm gonna study something completely useless that has no application in the real world. I can show you no futures, no prospective jobs, nothing. And it's going to be like $50,000 a year. And so I'm going to owe you $200,000. I'm probably also going to fuck off and do like an extra semester too, honestly, if I'm being real. So like, I'm going to owe you like $250,000 for this liberal arts education that has absolutely no application in real life. And the bank would go, wait, so how do we get our money back? Like, if you go into the bank with a business loan and you go, okay, here's my idea, dude. I'm going to start a laundromat. I have this many machines lined up. I have this piece of real estate locked down. I need this much money to buy this place, get this much equipment. Here's our hours. Here's our plan, blah, 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 blah. Here's what we can promise you in return. So the bank goes, okay, that sounds like a good deal. We got that. That's what happens when a person who's actually handling their own money, when it's the government's money and they just go, okay, so what'd you say your idea was? Oh, you're going to go to some random school, study some random thing for like a ridiculous amount of money and then like work at a coffee shop when you graduate? Sounds good. Here you go. And then lo and behold, the colleges go, wait a second, dude. The government is giving out loans for literally any amount of money. Why aren't we raising the price? Is it a coincidence that tuitions raised like 40% from 1990 to fucking 2010? Like, same thing with fucking housing. The sellers are going, dude, why would we sell the house for this much? The government is giving out these fucking Freddie Mac, Sally, whatever the fuck, Fannie Mae loans to people. They're not even asking if they have fucking jobs. They're not doing anything. They'll give a mortgage out for any amount of money. Fuck it. The house we were going to sell for $3, it's $400,000 now. Same thing with college. Same thing with healthcare. What the fuck happens when you can't even... The idea of going into a doctor's office and paying out of pocket doesn't even exist in American society now.
No.
Like, everything gets raised up because everything's covered by insurance, which is what the fuck, subsidized by the fucking government. The government goes, oh, $900 for the hammer on the knee thing? Sounds good to me. Here you go. And the hospitals go, I don't know, why don't we charge like $1,000? I don't know. Why don't we keep fucking charging more? So it's these people that are in these private industries that lobby. Like, if you're in the higher education industry and you lobby and you go in with this like supposedly good intention, like, okay, look, we as the University of Who Gives a Fuck really believe that we need to make higher education accessible to all young kids because we believe that that is the best foot forward to raise blah, 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 and all the buzzwords, people of color, underprivileged, blah, 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 blah. And then they do that and the government goes, yeah, I think, good idea. Also, some campaign donations don't help. How about we make this program where like the government provides student loans to people and then lo and behold, okay, guys, we got them. Imagine if I'm a fucking musician. Imagine that. Imagine if I'm a musician and I managed to convince the government that booking Jimmy Selesky at your event is like a human right. Like people deserve to see me play at any given local bar. So I think that if a bar can't afford my rate, that you guys should have like some type of program that like helps underprivileged, underfunded bars be able to afford my band. And then they go, yeah, I think you're right, dude. I think that, yeah, hearing you play is a human right. Like, yeah, we'll make this program, like, cause we're doing a good thing. And like, also maybe I help donate to some politicians, be like, hey dude, I'll contribute this much if you can get this bill passed to make this a thing. And then lo and behold, then I walk to a bar knowing that they can get any amount in a loan provided to them to book me. And I'd be like, well, why would I still charge my old rate? You can get a loan for any amount of money. So it's like, it's these private companies that are working their way into the fucking government, manipulating the government, and the government is just a bunch of fucking talking heads, fucking idiots that are also, their entire fucking job is just to keep their job. So, okay, I need to fucking win my next election. So whose fucking hand do I have to shake? Who people do I have to please to keep getting my campaign donations, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this guy wants this passed. This guy wants a fucking housing program passed. Oh, this guy wants this college for everyone law passed. Sure, fine, whatever. Hey, nice to meet you. Vote for me. And then boom, all of a sudden now you have this situation where all these kids the colleges raise the prices. The kids are fucking duped by an entire generation by thinking that like that's the only way that they could be successful. So they'll take a loan out for any amount of money. The fucking government has no way that the government, either they're too stupid or they're in on it. I don't even fucking know. But regardless of the matter, it winds up being that now an entire generation of kids is bogged down by student debt with no actual prospects or any means of paying it back. And then you go, okay, so
now they're going, okay, our bad. Here's $10,000.
Yeah. Our bad, here's $10,000. And also, let's not even revisit the original idea, which is that college is necessary. Let's continue down this same path. In fact, let's push harder into making more money available for colleges so that the colleges can go, oh, wait, now they're paying like $20,000. So fuck it, dude, let's raise the price more. And then you wind up in a bigger fuck up. It's like, so it's not even about the forgiveness thing at this point. Like, it's just like, we need to actually step back and go, dude, this whole situation
what are the actual problems at the root. Like let's not keep trying to like trim the fucking branches off.
Yeah.
It's already too far gone at that point.
Yeah, man. So honestly, if I'm being real, I'm not even convinced that this is going to go through. I honestly do think this is a political move because from anything that I understand about government, I don't think that this is something that the president has like the power to do.
People think that the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. He can postpone, he can delay, but he does not have that power. That has to be an act of Congress.
And I know that, like, you know, obviously, like, what does that fucking mean these days? You know, Trump did a lot of shit that he didn't have the power. Like, it doesn't mean anything. And it's like more so of just the idea of like, I don't think that the president, whoever it may be, has the power to just unilaterally be like, oh yeah, 300 something billion dollars towards this. Like, that's what we have a Congress for. And so it seems to me that it's like, okay, so what is the point of a Congress then? Like, they're the ones that are supposed to be creating the laws. They're the ones that are supposed to be doing this, that, the other thing. So it's like, when you completely bypass that and just say, fuck it, 330, that's what they're saying it's going to cost, like 300 something billion dollars. And it's like, it probably will get shot down in the Supreme Court, but which is what makes me think this is more of a political move, just going into the midterms for people to be like, we tried. We didn't actually do anything and we knew it was going to fail. We knew this wasn't going to get passed, but like, we didn't want to send you guys out to the polls thinking that we didn't try. So like, let's just fucking make a big to-do about this. Be like, here's our plan. Nobody agrees with it in Congress, but we don't fucking care. It's going to happen. And then like the midterms happen, I was happy. And then 6 months later, Supreme Court goes, actually, that's not happening. It's not happening. And you go, oh, okay. Whatever. Sorry, students.
Hey, and congrats, loan companies, for that free cash.
Nobody is loving
Winners
this.
at the end of the day.
Yep. Nobody's loving this plan more than colleges and banks. They love it. You think you love it. But next year, when your rent continues to go up and food goes up and everything else fucking goes up, you might not love it so much. I know I won't, because I don't benefit from this at all. Whatever.
But that's life.
That's life. That's all I can say. I
Got
go
a
to
student
college
loan
that I couldn't pay.